when you think about, in a little context, and I've been thinking about that, one of the things, by the way, the Trust Data Integrity Task Force is the interesting new issues from an IT standpoint task force of the ASEC. And one of the interesting issues we're pursuing is, what about software? And where we're thinking is this. When you buy, when a user entity buys a piece of software, for example, SAP, they have essentially outsourced their application development process. They've outsourced the design of their application controls. They've outsourced the change management of their application controls. And so, and worse than that, they've outsourced the design because software today is so complicated. They've outsourced their ability to test that change before it's put into production. And so one of the questions is a software vendor really a service organization? I can theoretically argue that it is because of what we've just stated. Outside of it, for example, if you're a business today and you use SAP, from a software theory standpoint, you ought to test the boundary conditions of the software before you put it into production. How it's going to react in different situations, where are the risks of material misstatement, where are the errors in processing going to occur, because what is the single greatest likelihood of error in application processing to occur? Computes a number wrong. Why? Because something occurred outside of the expected values, right? Classic application development. Well, does the user entity have any hope of actually designing tests of the application controls and application processing sufficient to make sure SAP works as designed? If not, they're dependent. Now, I'm speaking personally. It's an interesting problem. I don't know. But clearly it is an issue. But you see, then you look back at that and say, well, the service is software development. So how can you address application controls in that? Well, remember, what's the service organization is providing? Well, decompose the application development process, system specification, design of testing criteria, test scripts, execution of test scripts, so that could you get there? I think you could. Mm-hmm. And I might like to, could the development organization go into sufficient depth to describe their process of testing and how they know that all these key things are working? Here's a list of the key functionality of the system that we expect to operate every time we do a regression test before every major release. That's fair, right? I don't know. It's a problem we've talked about and haven't really resolved, but I think there's an opportunity there. But I think there is. I suspect more of them will flip into a SOC 2, where they'll talk about processing integrity over the application development process, which might be a quick fix for now until that all settles out. Other questions about SOC 1?